Hi everyone, welcome back to the Driven by Us podcast, where we get to hear from some inspiring and amazing people in the motorsport and automotive world. And today I have another lovely guest with us. We have Sorsha Elson, and she has done some amazing things in the field, and now she's in Formula One. So it's going to be a great time. We'll get to hear all about her journey, and I can't wait to delve right into it.
Me neither.
So, Sorsha, you are currently a mechanical technician at Formula One, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Now, we'll delve all into that and how you got there, because your journey is not exactly the most straight line path, I would say.
No.
I think there was some moments in there where it didn't really look like motorsport was going to be the end goal, but it eventually did become that, and it was always a passion. So I kind of can't wait. So I guess to start off with, what is a mechanical technician in Formula One? What is the role?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me. So my role in Formula One, I'm actually an apprentice mechanical technician. So I'm in my 4th year of doing my apprenticeship. My role consists of 2 things. So when I'm back at base in Kent and when I'm at track. So when I'm back at base, we work on upcoming projects. One of the big ones new for this year was the Tag Heuer pit lane clock, which changed recently from the Rolex. So our team were, doing the design and the actual making of that product, and then obviously getting it out onto the pit lane. And then when we're at track, we facilitate the broadcast of Formula One. So we build essentially a broadcast centre, which allows us to film everything, get everything sent back to Kent, back at base, and then broadcasted around the world. And we just basically maintain that, and if anything breaks or goes wrong, then we're on hand to fix that.
That's amazing. I mean, I don't think anyone would have thought that doing the clock, the watch, was ever going to be part of it. I am surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, so what did you build the actual thing? Does that change at all during the races, or does that continue?
No, so we basically have a design that comes down from us and is agreed, all behind the scenes and everything. And then our designers put in orders for, what we need. It comes into our workshop, and we basically spend a few months testing and putting it all together and making sure that everything looks perfect for when it needs to go out to the race.
Okay, amazing. And then you also said you worked on the media side. I think that's something people forget, is that there is so many different aspects in all the different industries. So obviously still working the mechanic side, and you're still working the media side. That's really interesting. So now that we know a little bit more about your role, I would love to take it back to how we got here.
Sure.
Was engineering or mechanics something you've always wanted to do? Was it something you wanted to do when you were a little kid?
No.
Okay. What was it?
I went through a stage of going through a lot of different things, and to be honest with you, it was only recently that it settled. And I'm 28 now, so if anyone's listening who is in their 20s and thinking, I don't know what to do, don't worry, you've got ages.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It's literally fine, you've got time. So I wanted to be a midwife, first of all.
Okay, lovely.
I actually failed my A-levels, and my school at the time was the type of school where if you failed your A-levels in year 12, in the first lot, you were not allowed to resit and come back. So they were doing really well in their exam results, but that meant that people that failed didn't really get that support, I guess. So that day I went and signed up for college, and I did an aviation operations course.
Wow, very different to midwife.
Very different, yeah. And then I joined to be a flight attendant through that. I've always loved aeroplanes, mechanical side of things, and just the glamour of cabin crew and things. It's not glamorous, by the way. So I did cabin crew, and I also worked in a bar for on and off about 7 years. And it was cabin crew really that made me think about mechanical and engineering. I would often sit with the pilots and have discussions about how the aircraft worked, and used to do the walk around checks with them and stuff. It was really fun, and I found that exciting. And then during COVID, we had a little group chat ping from a family WhatsApp message, and it was an opportunity to do an apprenticeship doing mechanical engineering with Formula One. And I loved Formula One, and I knew I wanted to try and get into mechanical, and that's kind of where that started. And
Amazing.
Then, yeah.
Wow. So we obviously can see that the engineering and the mechanics was always there. Was motorsport anything to do with you when it came to your childhood? Did you watch it? You just said you really liked it. Was this something that was passed down through your family? Did you have family in the sport? Did you just have some big fans at home like I did?
We just have big fans at home. So my aunt and uncle on my dad's side, every Sunday, we'd go and see my grandma first, and then we'd go and see my aunties, and this auntie would always have Formula One on. So it was something that, you know, I was aware of. And then as I got older, started to take more of an interest in it. To be honest with you, I'd say that my interest really peaked just before COVID. And it was Lewis Hamilton that really got me watching the sport. I was always interested in what he was doing and following what he was doing. And then when everything happened in 2020 and he started to really use his platform more and advocating for more diversity within the sport, that just called to me straight away. And and then the group chat thing came through, and I was like, oh my God, it's like a sign. So just went for it.
Amazing. I mean, it's a great thing you did. Look where you're at now. It is always sometimes about just taking that one chance and just doing it, because who knows what would happen.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, it's interesting you said that the school didn't really support you, so you weren't able to continue and do your A-levels again, and you went to college. How did you find studying, I guess, more the engineering side in college? And do you think this is something that's needed if they wanted to go into this field? And I guess for younger people who may not have succeeded with their first option, or say gone through the same kind of thing, what are some words of advice you can give for that?
I guess my advice would be to not give up. I truly thought that A-levels, university, get a job was the clean-cut way to go. It was the only way that I was going to be able to get a good job. I didn't even think there was any other option. And then that was just with the one subject field. But then if you look at motorsport, especially now, the field's really opened up, and those barriers to entry have kind of been reduced a lot lately. So for example, I'm doing an apprenticeship, which I'm probably a bit biased, but that is probably the best way in my opinion. But you also have internships, scholarships, graduate programs, training programs, those sort of things that weren't readily available, back even 10, 15, 20 years ago, are now here. And I just say to younger people, if that's something that you want to get into, then just keep checking, the teams' websites, and not just the teams. It doesn't even have to be Formula One. We've got F1 Academy now. We've got the F2 and the F3 series. We've got NASCAR. We've got so many
out there.
That really there is an option out there.
Right. And you went from college and you went into flight attending. How come there wasn't a jump straight into something more mechanical engineering focused?
I'll be honest, it was just complete lack of confidence, and I think it's definitely difficult for young girls, especially. It's not what's expected of you. I definitely felt that it wasn't going to be for me. I was not smart enough to do it. I wouldn't be able to get it straight away. I wouldn't be good at it. And I had all of that self-doubt in the back of my head. But I just kind of... flight attendant was always something I wanted to do anyway, and I'm so glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I tried it. But really, it was just the lack of confidence.
Well, either way, you have made it now. Maybe a longer route, but it means you've had the chance to experience some things. I feel like you said, being able to do that flight attending and seeing the engineering on the plane crash. So it's not the standard route, but it's still a path nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So it just proves that there are so many ways to get where it is. Maybe there was a stock standard one back in the day, but these days there are so many options, especially with all the different career paths and new approaches, and like you said, all the scholarships and schemes popping up. So I know you're also very passionate about trying to help people get into motorsport.
Yes.
I'd love to know how you got into F1, because I know it was through this apprenticeship. So, and you were actually one of the first mechanical apprenticeships to happen in F1. So can you explain how that came about with the Blair project and what that meant for your career?
So me and my colleague Aram, we are the first 2 mechanical apprentices to work for Formula One management. I am the first female in the department, and also the first woman of colour as well. So that was
a lot of differences.
That was a big thing. The department is completely made up of men, and they are all fantastic. So I'm really glad that I had their support. So like I said, we had a group chat thing that had come through on WhatsApp. And I clicked on the link, and it explained a little bit about the Blair project, who they were, what they were trying to do, which again just called to me. I was really excited about this opportunity, about becoming, potentially an ambassador for F1, helping other people get into the sport. And I think, the big thing about that could possibly be like one of the first mechanical apprentices to do this was so exciting. So I remember I had to do, I think, like an online assessment, and I had to do a video interview as well, which I later found out got sent to Formula One. So from that, they chose 4 people out of, I believe, about 500 to 600 applicants.
Oh, wow.
And they were only advertised within the north and like middle of England, purely because the north and the middle don't attract that many people to motorsport. Don't know why. I don't know if it's just because it's more prevalent in the south. I've got no idea, but it was only advertised the north and the Midlands. So out of those 500 to 600, 4 of us got chosen. We were told that we were going to go to the headquarters in Kent, which was just like mind-blowing.
Pressure.
So excited. And basically go and see where we would be working. We had like an assessment day that we had to do, and I just remember it being like a lot of fun, a very long day, and also just pure nerves. And I think it was the day after, I got a call from F1 saying, congratulations, you and one other person have been selected, and we can't wait to have you, kind of thing. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Who was the first person you told?
My mum. She cried.
Don't blame her. That is it's a great scheme, but to be one of those 2 first people, that's a really great job, and that's a testament to your skills and
Thank you.
Your video interview by the looks of it as well. So that's great. Now you're close to being qualified because it's a 4-year program.
Yes.
And I believe, are you on your last year?
I'm on my last year. I'm in my last month now.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
So I submitted my my portfolio, which is basically, you're over the 4 years, you do job reports. You have to do different jobs and then obviously write about them. A selection of those, the best ones, get chosen and they get submitted to the invigilator to be, assessed. And once that is done, then basically the assessments can take place after that. So I'm in my final stretch now of becoming qualified. So yeah.
That's amazing. So how has the apprenticeship been? Have you learned a lot? Have you been able to do lots of different parts?
Yeah.
And if so, have you also worked out that this is what you want to do?
So the apprenticeship from start to finish has just been wild. I started off training, doing mechanical training in Southampton at a place called CETA. It stands for Southampton Engineering Academic Training, I think.
Sounds right.
So sorry if I got that wrong. And you have to do not only your practical, but you have to do your theory as well. So because of F1's time constraints, we had to do 2 years of a BTEC condensed into 1 year. Which was really, really hard. We started 3 weeks late as well. So from the get-go, it was, all in. But I actually managed to finish around about 2 weeks early. So I was like super proud of that.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. That is a lot of work to do in that much time.
Yeah, it was. But to be honest, like I just wanted to get it. I just wanted to get it done.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then in August of 2022. Me and Aram made the move to London. That aspect of things was difficult. It was my first time leaving home. I believe it was Aram's first time leaving home as well. And not just that, but I was leaving my family, my friends, absolutely everything behind to, you know, have this opportunity. And as much as it's been completely worth it, that it was very difficult. Recently, I mean, it's just been amazing. I mean, the traveling that I get to do, the things that you get to see. I mean, as an F1 fan, I mean, my mind is screaming like every time I get to a track. Workhead is slightly a little bit more subdued, and she's like, right, come on, crack on. But it's been amazing. And then as far as your other question on, you know, if this is something that I want to do, I for sure want to stay in this industry. I can't answer whether or not this is something I want to do forever. Purely, I mean, part of it is just personal reasons. I miss home quite a lot. But I want to stay in the industry for sure. I want to grow my career within this world of motorsport. I love it. I've loved it since the moment I stepped foot in it. So, yeah.
It is a commitment. I think people definitely see F1 and they want to do it, and they don't realise that means it's 24 weekends minimum away, especially if you're travelling. Then when you're not travelling, there's work at the office or there's work at the factory, and then it's a lot, and it's a big commitment, and to do it you really have to be all in and passionate, and you can still be passionate and maybe not want to do that all the time.
Absolutely.
So that's why I think there are so many other series out there which you can do work with, and it's not saying it's going to be less work as such, but maybe a little bit less commitment, meaning you don't have to be away from your family as much. But it is a big thing, and that's, I guess, another thing is motorsport is, well, at least F1 is London based. I think you mentioned before, not too much wondering why it's the north and the west that it was open up to. And you realise if anyone really wants to work in F1, they have to move to either wherever the factory is that the team they're going to work for. If they're going to work for F1, they got to move straight wherever it's based in London. And so it's definitely not the most accessible in terms of that, but there are always going to be people around to help, and if you're passionate about it, you'll make it and you'll work it out, and it'll be hard at times for sure. But it'll be worth it in the end.
Absolutely.
So I guess following on for that, it's a great program, and it's great to see things like this. I mean, it's quite recent that they made it, but I'm hoping that continues to grow and we get more programs like this, especially something that's here to promote diversity and get different people into fields like this where you wouldn't exactly see them, and it's not the easiest to get into. But on that, personally in your journey, have you faced any challenges that you think could be because, like you said, you're the only female in your department and you were the first person of colour and first female in this programme?
Yes, I won't beat around the bush about that. I've always been very honest that one of the biggest challenges that I had was working in a department full of men. It is not to say in any regard that there's something wrong with them. There isn't at all. They are all fantastic people. They've been a fantastic support network and I love them to bits. But going from a dynamic where I've worked in a bar and worked as a flight attendant where it can be either mixed or it's quite female led, to a department where it is literally just men is difficult, and I can't understate that. I think a lot of people, when we talk about getting more women into male dominated fields, it is fantastic, but women do have to be aware that there is a challenge with that. For a while, my mental health was a little bit up and down because I didn't feel like I could be myself, talk about things that I needed to talk about. For example, I recently got diagnosed with endometriosis. That's quite a difficult conversation to have with your peers who are males and don't have a clue what
Half
it is.
of them might not have heard of it before.
Exactly. Luckily, my boss, he was absolutely fantastic about it and, really supported me through that time. But that is definitely something that I would say just be aware of. And also it is predominantly white. Aram is the only black person in our department. Our head of department is South Asian, so he's another one, but he's not more like a peer, he's more, in his office and whatnot. And that also has been difficult because, there's a difference in culture, there's a difference in how people talk, a difference in political opinion, which of course, when you're at work, that's not something that should be brought up anyway, but when you hear it, it's, it can be quite grating sometimes. It's just things that you wouldn't even think about because you've never had to deal with them before. And then going into an environment like that, suddenly it's everywhere, and it can be quite hard to block the noise out sometimes. But I do want to reiterate that they're all great, and they have all been very supportive. So
100%. I mean, it's definitely a bit of a cultural thing, and I've been in the same situations where you are the only female in a space or the only person of colour in the space, and it's nothing against the people as individuals, but it is just the culture it makes, and just trying to fit in with that, or certain things where you're like, no one understands what I'm getting. It can be simple as the vibe is a little off, and you can tell, but no one will kind of understand that. So we have these great schemes that can get you into places like that.
Yes.
Do you feel then that you've had the support once you're there? You mentioned that your mental health was a bit low at the start. Was that because you were kind of just dumped into it and had to kind of fend for yourself for a bit? Is there something that you think needs to be changed, and do you think people now need to also, once they're put in a place, there needs to be some steps to support them while they're there too?
Me personally, I had a lot of support. I think a lot of my issues came down to lack of confidence in myself, being away from home, being in a completely new environment, but I did have a lot of support in that area. I think industries do need to be mindful that when you are putting in place schemes that encourage diversity, equality is not the same as equity. You can't treat people the same because not everybody is the same. So therefore, what is fair for somebody might not be fair for somebody else. And I think that's what a lot of industries and companies have yet to realise. Equality is just, it's not the same thing. I understand, it's well intentioned, but there has to be something in place that protects people and their differences. That's all I would say. Yeah,
definitely. And you mentioned that your confidence levels were quite low, and this was the same from what I heard when you went from college, and why you chose to go into flight attending instead of going straight into mechanics or engineering. So when you came into this role, when you became the only woman in your area, did your confidence drop? And then if so, how were you able to get through that, and how did you navigate these challenges?
It's weird. It's this really odd sensation of, number one, realising I'm the only woman. I'm the first female mechanical apprentice to work for this company, this pinnacle of motorsport, and that's such an intense thing to feel, and I'm so proud of myself. But then on the other side of the coin, you've got this intense self-doubt, almost what's the word,
is the imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome, yeah, 100%. It's almost like that, and it's so disorientating. What was the other half of your question?
How have you navigated these challenges and kind of brought back from that? No problem.
Okay. I'd say I definitely have brought it back from that point. Navigating it was difficult, and I think for a long time I felt alone in it. But I had my support around me. My family weren't there, but they were there. I had them down the phone every single day. I had my manager who, God bless him, I was just chewing his ear off like all the time. I had, like my work bestie who, was constantly just seeing me like crying, going like, come on, come on, like lifting me back up again. And if it wasn't for those people, it would be a lot harder to navigate. And I think I'm lucky with the people that I had around me. Really, really lucky. My department, I can't fault in that area. I really can't. So, yeah.
Well, that's lovely to hear. I mean, it is sometimes just scary, but realistically, when you go into it, the individual people are great.
Yes.
There are going to be some that aren't,
of
but
course.
a lot of the time you need to just find your people and push through it, and you'll be fine. And sometimes it just takes one. When I got into my job, because I work as a social media manager in Motorsport too, and my first job, day on the job, was not only my first day in the job in Motorsport, just my first day in an office ever. It was just my first job, and I kind of came in like, oh no, I don't know what to do. How do lunch breaks work? How did this work? What do I do at lunch? Who do I sit with? And it was just a lot of panicking. And then I found my people, I guess, or at least just like one person. And it was just a lot like, okay, this has made it a lot better. We can both scream in the corner together and it'll be fine. And we'll both, someone's having a stressful day and you'll pick that person up and then they'll pick you up. So it's great. It's good to do. So I guess from that, how do you think industries are doing when it comes to these diversity programs? And have you yourself seen a change in these few years that you've been in F1?
I'll answer your second one first. Yes, I have, definitely. Especially, so I feel that my company have, in the terms of women to men ratio, have always been quite good in that department. I think it can be worked on with people of colour from diverse backgrounds. I think that can still be worked on, but I do think that they have taken steps, and those are steps that I can see. So I'm super happy with that. At track as well, so, you know, with the teams and everything like that, I see girls up and down the paddock all the time, and it's so nice. Even within our own company, we always try and get together one night where it's just the girls, and we go out on the evening and we just have a girls' night, because it doesn't happen often. A lot of us work in departments where it is just full of men, so we do try and make that effort to get together, which is really nice. And then to answer your first question, I think as a whole, industries need to be doing more in motorsport. I do think that as a whole. I do think there needs to be more awareness. I think there needs to be more listening. I just think the world is in such a scary place at the moment, and the last thing that I'd like to see is us go backwards. And I think it's important that companies show their employees that they want to change. They want to get more people in from a diverse background, because you can't just have the best of people in one group. That's not going to happen. You are going to get the best of the best when you open up that job pool. So yeah, I definitely think that we can be doing more.
Okay, great. So the paddock is obviously working on doing more, and they hopefully will continue to do a lot more. But I also know that you do a lot of outreach yourself, and you are very much for trying to reach out and kind of help the younger group get there. And you work with Driven by Us, but you're also an F1 student ambassador.
I am,
and you do a lot of work with young people. So what is your main goal when you speak to young people who want to have, say, a career in motorsport? What do you want to get across to them?
My main goal is that it is for everybody. I think I can be a bit biased because I see myself in a lot of the young girls that I speak to who maybe are a little bit unsure about if that's the right path for them or if they can do that. I really, really try and, drill it home that if that is something that you want to do, you go and do it. Like, you do whatever it takes to go and do it. You study the subjects, you go to university if that's what you want, you join an apprenticeship, you do a scholarship, you do whatever it takes for you to get to that point, because you can do that. I wish that I had that myself. So I think especially when I go out and talk to young girls, that's a very important point for me to give them. But I think my overall goal is to just open people's minds a little bit. STEM is such a wide subject area, and motorsport has such a wide variation of STEM subjects within it. So it's not just the car mechanic, it's not just the fuel people, it's not just the social media aspects of things. There are so many different jobs within motorsport and such a wide variation of things that if something's not right, okay, that's fine, then look at maybe this thing that's slightly different but it incorporates this and this. And I think there's so much out there, and I just think that young people should know that.
100%, like building the Tag Heuer watch or doing the media stuff, which again, I would never have clocked that would have been something that would be on the Mechanical Apprentice side.
To be honest with you, I didn't even know either until I got there, and I was like, oh, okay.
That's for us.
This is
there you go. And then I guess another thing would be, what's a piece of advice that you would give for someone specifically planning on getting into the engineering space or the mechanic space? So something that's not just if they want to work in motorsport, but here, if you're going to do this, you need to know this.
Study hard and be patient. Being impatient was, I think, a big contributor to me not feeling quite comfortable. I'm one of those people that if I do something, I expect to be fantastic at it
straight away,
immediately.
I feel that.
I'm so frustrated when I'm not, and I fail and I make a mistake. You have to have that patience. Engineering especially is about making mistakes, because if you do not, then you don't get the best product out of that. So I think a bit of advice would be to don't be afraid to make the mistakes. Like they're there for a reason. They're in your path for a reason. So just roll with it.
Amazing. There we go. And is there any particular experience or skills that they should focus on gaining while they're younger or while they're studying or anything?
Yeah, I think, when I was doing my training in Southampton, all of my peers around me had some sort of experience, like either if it was like working on cars or just like fiddling about with stuff or electronics or circuitry. I think have a play around with stuff, see what really, makes you think, makes you enjoy it. And it could be as basic as like even like Lego building, for example, just the process of putting things together and reading a drawing essentially and putting things together. That is engineering, like whether people like it or not.
I'm an engineer now.
Absolutely.
I love Lego. Let's go.
It is as simple as that, and find things that you are good at and that you enjoy and hone in on those. It doesn't have to be make it a chore. It doesn't have to be, I've got to sit down for like 2 hours a night and practice this, or I'm not going to be an engineer. It's more just about finding things that you enjoy and that you think, okay, if I put in a bit of time, I can get better at this. And it's something that you can add to your CV. It's something that employers do like to see as well, that you're taking your own initiative. Employers like to see that you have hobbies as well outside of work. They do like to see that. It's why you get asked the question, what are your hobbies and things. But yeah.
Great. Well, you've heard it now. You need to build Legos.
Lego.
I'm for that. And now they've got F1 Legos too. So technically you can say you've built an F1 car.
You technically can say that.
And then looking back, what do you hope that your impact in the industry will be?
Oh, I don't know. That's a hard question. Impact's not something I think about much. I just really hope that at somewhere down the line or in the past, I've spoken to somebody and somebody said, oh my God, okay, I love her. I want to do it. And, they're away now, like studying and, researching and trying to get into motorsport. Just one person, that's what I hope my impact is.
You're like a hidden mentor, which kind of works perfectly for our last final part, which is where at the end of every podcast, we get the guest from the previous podcast to leave a question for the next guest.
Okay.
And your question is, who has been the biggest mentor in your career and what impact has that had?
Difficult question because there is so many. It feels like the Oscars, me just saying, and thank you to.
I'll let you pick a few because I know many people can be influential.
So definitely my parents. I think the way that they raised me and have supported me and mentored me throughout this entire journey, could not have done it without them, could not have done it without their support. And I 100% mean that. Like, I could not have done it without their support. I would have been back home immediately. I have a work bestie, I guess you could say, called Stu. I hope he doesn't mind me naming him. But he makes me laugh every single time we're in work together. but also he is very smart. He's taught me a lot. He's patient. He doesn't get annoyed easily. You know, we have a lot of banter back and forth, and he's great. But I think just having like that person at work that you can kind of, you know, just have fun with makes a real difference. And not only just fun, but I've learned so much from him as well. So yeah, I guess I'd say that.
Your parents and you.
Yeah.
Hand it to them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've answered the question, which now means you must give us the question. So what is your question for our next guest?
Okay, so I have not thought about this.
Throw whatever you want out there.
I really don't know.
It can be very, very general because we're not going to tell you who they are or what they do.
Okay. So my question would be to the next person. If you could sit down and have dinner with 3 influential people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Ooh, really good question. I'm going to be thinking about that one. Oh, I wish I could ask you, but I can't. I'll ask you after.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. This is just for me. So thank you so much for joining us. That is the end of the pod. It's been lovely hearing everything and for you sharing all about your career and some really great advice, I will say. I hope everyone back home was taking notes. I think they definitely were. Make sure to basically put that into action because motorsport is tough, but it is fun.
It's fast moving as well.
Exactly. And it has its highs, it has its lows, but in the end, you're going to enjoy the hell out of it. So good luck with the rest of your qualifications, which is very short.
Very short, yeah.
And yeah, to everyone back home, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode and follow Driven by Us or DBU on all of our social platforms. So we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.